A young man, Ray White, arrives at the Arnold Academy of Sorcery. He started facing criticism on his first day because he is not from a family of sorcerers or nobles. One of the students, Albert Alium, shows up and starts throwing bad words at Ray. Alium says Ray is not worth being a student in the academy. He tries to attack Ray, but a voice stops him. A young lady, Amelia Rose, intervenes and tells the students to back off. Amelia's family is one of the top 3 noble families in the kingdom. The students are surprised to see Rose defending someone like Ray. Rose says Ray is the first ordinary to be attending the academy since the founding of the school. She tells Ray to ask her for help whenever he needs it. Ray thanks her and they leave. Soon afterward, the school's principal, Abby Garnett, addresses the students. She commends her for being one of the lucky ones to attend the school. She then reminds them to keep working hard and maintain their dignity. The new student representative, who is also Amelia, is called up to give her speech. She promises to encourage her fellow students to be good and make the school proud. In class, the teacher, Helena Grady, introduces Ray to the students, but most of them feel indifferent. The teachers ask the students to tell her how many ranks of sorcerers they have. Amelia stands up and answers. She says there are 5 ranks, namely bronze, silver, gold, platinum, and grand. The teacher then tells the class that there can only be 7 grand sorcerers at a time, and they are the most powerful of all. She says some of the 7 are known, but the rest have their identity hidden. One of the 7 is the principal, Abby. Another is Caroline Carroll. Another one is known as the hero of the Far East War, and he is called the Iceblade Sorcerer. However, the Iceblade Sorcerer vanished after ending the war, and he hasn't been seen since then. These 3 are the only ones known from the 7. Alium stands up and questions the teacher about why an ordinary person is attending the academy. Helena says Ray passed the exams and worked hard just like every other person in the room. When it's time to practice their sorcery skills, Ray doesn't do well, and Alium makes a joke of him. A reserved and shy student raises her hand to ask Helena if it's possible to use anti-material code, but Helena says no. She says it is above their level for now. Later, Ray runs into the little shy student inside the library. He introduces herself as Elisa Griffith. The duo discusses their favorite author, Dr. Ainsworth, and Ray discovers that Elisa is a half-elf. Ray tells her not to hide her ears because she looks beautiful either way. That night, Ray gets to his dormitory room and meets with his roommate, Evi Strong. The duo gets along immediately when they discover that they both have great and well-built bodies. The following morning, during a jog, Ray runs into a third-year student, Rebecca Bradley. Her family is also one of the top 3 noble families. The top 3 are Rose, Bradley, and Algren. While walking in the school passageway, Ray runs into another student, Clarice Cleve. He compliments her and the duo gets along immediately. After that, Ray enters the principal's office. Judging from their interaction, it seems they know each other before. Ray calls her Colonel, but she quickly corrects him and says he should just call her Abby. Shortly afterward, the students go outside for a practical class. Alium and Ray are paired to have a mock sword fight. Alium goes after Ray, but Ray easily defeats him, and Alium could not believe his eyes. Standing in the far distance is Abby. She calls Ray the Iceblade Sorcerer and says she's happy that he is enjoying his student life. Ray and Evi practice their bodybuilding exercises in their room. Ray says he wants to join 2 clubs in the school. Evi tells him that he can join his club. Later on, Ray shows up at the venue where the Environmental Research Club does their meeting. Evi and other members are in attendance. Ray is welcomed by the leader, who informs him that they explore the forests, rivers, and glaciers. He says only a physically equipped person can join the group because they are called hunters. Ray takes off his clothes, and they see that he has a great body. He only looks scrawny in clothes. Ray says he trained in the backwood forests. He then shows them his gold hunter license, and they immediately accept him into the club. Shortly afterward, Ray goes to the Plant Research Club to join them. Rebecca Bradley is the leader. All the members are females, and Ray is the only male to request for entry. One of the members, Dina, objects to Ray's acceptance and says Ray will not be able to take care of flowers very well. Rebecca decides to hand over Ray's case to Dina for evaluation. If Ray passes her test, he is to be accepted. Dina takes Ray to a space filled with weed. They plan to make a garden there. Ray accepts and starts working on it. Within 4 days, Ray has finished the preparation of the site. After he's done working, Rebecca brings a fruit sandwich for him, and also reveals that she is the student council president. She also tells Ray that a competition where the strongest magic sword fighter will soon take place. The competition is called the Magic Chevalier. After he is done with the site, Dina reluctantly approves of Ray's admission into the club. Later on, Ray is given a task by Abby to look for a spy that has infiltrated the kingdom and possibly the academy. Shortly afterward, Ray finds Clarice looking at insects, and he is surprised. Clarice reveals that she is fascinated by bugs instead of dogs or cats. Ray tells Clarice that he likes bugs too and offers to be her friend. Clarice gets excited and accepts the offer. In class, Ray answers a technical question and the whole class is fascinated. Helena then tells them to group themselves into 4. She says there is a practical exercise to be carried out in the Kafka forest. Ray and Evi team up, and Ray also invites Elisa to their group. She feels reluctant because she's physically weak, but Ray assures her that everything will be fine. Hopeless that they won't find someone else to join the ground, Amelia approaches Ray and says she's interested in joining his group. All the groups assemble at the entrance of the forest and Helena gives them the instructions. She says the first group to get to the middle and get back is the winner. There are checkpoints along the way, and they are to collect a stamp at each checkpoint. The forest is filled with dangerous monsters and the students should find their way around. The exercise will run for 24 hours. The groups split up to their starting points and the signal is given to begin the exercise. The exercise begins, and Ray eliminates all the monsters found in the way. They also make it to a checkpoint, whereas Alium's group doesn't even know which way to go. Later that night, Ray has a thought about telling his friends who he really is, but he shrugs it off. The following morning, the group hears a scream from the distance and Ray runs over to investigate. Alium's group has been cornered by a monster, but he easily defeats the monster and takes care of Alium and his group. Amelia, Elisa, and Evi arrive after Ray defeats the monster single-handedly. Amelia faces Ray and asks him to tell the truth about who he is. Just then, a sorcerer hiding in the woods throws a magical dart at the monster Ray just defeated. The monster comes back to life and even looks stronger and angrier than before. Ray faces off with the monster but discovers that it is unusually faster and stronger. Meanwhile, Claris is also in the distance and is watching everything unfold. Just as Ray thinks of a tactic to beat the monster, his friends help out, and this gives the perfect opportunity to slice open the monster into 2. After defeating the monster, the evil sorcerer who has been hiding and watching also vanishes out of disappointment. At the announcement of the winner, Ray's group is declared the winner of the exercise. Claris starts clapping, but she soon stops when she realizes that the whole crowd is angry and bitter that Ray is among the winners. The students say the group was able to win because of Amelia. Elisa comforts Ray and tells him not to worry about anything and whatever the students are saying about him. Soon afterward, Ray pays a visit to his master, Dr. Lydia Ainsworth, who is now in a wheelchair. Ainsworth is being taken care of by a caregiver, Carla. Ainsworth happens to be Elisa's favorite author too. Ainsworth welcomes Ray and lets him know that she has missed him. After taking his seat, Ainsworth and Ray discuss. It turns out that Ainsworth was the one that passed down the Iceblade Sorcerer's title to Ray. She was the one that put an end to the war, but she is now paralyzed and makes use of a wheelchair. She tells Ray to only use the Iceblade power only when he deems it extremely necessary. Ainsworth then informs Ray that a group calling themselves Eugenics has formed. Their aim is to study the part of the brain that stores memory called England. She says instead of using sorcery to study it, Eugenics has resorted to the use of surgery, and they don't care if their test subjects die. They have been carrying out their research on sorcerers in a bid to decode sorcery in the world. Eugenics has been trying to recruit top sorcerers into their group. They have invited Ainsworth as well as Caroline, but they have declined. After informing her student of everything he needs to know, Ainsworth and Ray take a stroll through the woods. Ray tells Ainsworth that he has made some great friends in the academy. Ainsworth tells Ray to bring Elisa along with him when coming next time. Ainsworth also talks about the magical chevalier that takes place between the 3 academies of the kingdom. Ainsworth asks if Ray will participate, but he says he will rather stay on the sidelines. Before leaving, Ainsworth gives Ray a personal book of hers. Up next, Ray runs into Elisa and the duo decides to visit the library together. Elisa made sure to read some of Ainsworth's books. Outside the library, they find Claris. The trio decides to go out and have a meal together. At the restaurant, Ray introduces Elisa and Claris to each other. After they are done eating, Elisa and Claris depart. Just then, Ray sees Amelia alighting from a carriage. He runs over and the duo exchanges greetings. When Amelia learns that Ray went out with Elisa and Claris, she demands that Ray follow her out too. The duo visits a clothes store and Ray compliments Amelia for her choices of clothes. While in the changing room, Amelia wonders if she would like to tell Ray who she is one day. Later on, Helena Gray invites Ray to her office and encourages him. She tells Ray not to pay attention to whatever the other students are saying about him. She also says Ray is free to come to her for anything, and Ray thanks her for the hospitality. Meanwhile, Alium is seen in the forest, training very hard while the evil sorcerer watches from a distance. After the morning session at the Environmental Research Club, Ray runs over to his second club to fulfill his duties. Dina gives him the club key and says she should take care of things before the rest of the club members arrive. While taking care of the room, Ray opens the changing room and runs into Rebecca, who is changing. He apologizes and Rebecca says it's nothing. She claims that her gym class ended earlier and that's the reason she was in the club before the usual time. After that, Rebecca shows Ray some research about carnivorous plants. She says the plants are already evolving and now can use sorcery. Rebecca shows her happiness about being able to teach Ray new things. Rebecca tells Ray that he will be on the organizational staff for the Magical Chevalier. Ray then asks Rebecca if none of the third highest noble families is attending the academy. She says the Algrins attend the Academy of Sorcery instead. Shortly afterward, Rose is seen practicing for the Magic Chevalier. She begs the teacher to allow her to fight Ray, and Ray accepts. The duel begins, and Ray discovers that Rose is fast, but her attacks are not heavy. He tries to study Rose's fight pattern. The students watching are surprised that Ray is standing up to Rose's fighting abilities. Rose says Ray is not great when it comes to sorcery, but he is excellent in swordsmanship. Ross goes hard against Ray. Ray is about to win the fight, but he remembers a memory and suffers from a migraine. Rose is then considered the winner of the duel. When Ray is asked by his friends where he learned how to use the sword, he tells them that he had a strict master. While Ray and his friends are having lunch, Alium and his friends approach the dining table and challenge Ray to a duel. Ray accepts, and the group moves outside to a clear space. Before the fight begins, Claris discovers that there is a dome covering the fighting area. Alium presents Ray with a real sword and says anyone that is first to accept defeat is the loser. Alium tells the story about how he has determined from his childhood to raise the name of his family in order to prevent ridicule. He then says he will start by killing Ray. Meanwhile, the evil sorcerer is watching the events from a distance. Alium throws fireballs at Ray, but he easily cuts them. Alium uses all the spells he knows to fight Ray, but everything he throws at Ray seems to be useless against him. After exhausting all the tactics and spells he knows, Alium falls down in tears and accepts defeat. Ray's friends are surprised at how strong he is, and Amelia asks him in a strong tone to tell them who he is. Ray is about to confess when the evil sorcerer shows up. The sorcerer uses his spell to hold the other students to the ground except for Ray. The sorcerer reveals his face and turns out to be their teacher, Helena Gray. Ray realizes that Helena has been terminating students and using their engrams for her research. She is responsible for the monster in the forest, but Ray was able to defeat it. Helena is a member of eugenics, and she now wants Ray's engram. She was also the one that pushed Alium into challenging Ray, and she created the dome also. She plans to eliminate all the students in the dome at once and make use of them for her research. This will help her rank up in eugenics. Ray prepares to fight Helena, but she mocks him and says he is only good at close combats and doesn't know how to use sorcery too. Helena is confident that as long as Ray doesn't come near her, she will be fine. She sends fire snakes at Ray and he manages to dodge them. Helena then redirects the fire snakes at Ray's friends who are helpless at the moment. To protect his friends, Ray immediately activates his Iceblade magic. Helena is surprised and says the Iceblade Sorcerer disappeared after the war, but Ray tells her that he has received the mantle. Ray creates several blades made from ice and uses them to destroy all the attacks thrown at him by Helena. Helena tries to run away, but Ray cuts her leg with the sword. Helena says she has surrendered and tries to trick Ray, but her attack is futile again. Realizing that Ray doesn't have the intention of killing her but handing her over to the authorities, Helena brings out the key to her research. All the spells and codes she has have been stored in the key. Helena pushes the key into her brain, and this transforms her into a giant, scary-looking monster. A tough fight ensues between Ray and Helena. Helena uses all her spells to try and eliminate Ray, but he has the skills to withstand them. Helena soon notices that Ray still doesn't know how to properly control his power. Ray's body is getting covered with ice. Helena sees this and starts using it to her advantage. She goes all out using her whole strength, but Ray manages to defeat and lock her inside an ice spear. Ray falls to the ground and deactivates his power before finally passing out. Ray's friends quickly run over to assist him. The story then goes back in time to show us how Ainsworth found Ray around their battle camp. She carries Ray back to camp, and Carol is interested in knowing who he is. Ainsworth explains to her superiors how she found Ray. She says Ray is the only survivor from a nearby village after being hit by war. Later on, the authorities and government are reluctant about making Ray their citizen, and this makes Ainsworth angry. Shortly afterward, Ray wakes up and introduces himself to Carol and Ainsworth. The duo immediately gets engrossed with Ray, and Carol starts teaching him how to read. Carol and Ray then decide to adopt Ray. Carol challenges the authorities and informs them that she wants to keep Ray. They ask Ainsworth what her decision is. Ainsworth discovers that Ray has special ice powers just like her. Ray also says he wants to stay with her. Ainsworth says yes, and the authorities inform Carol and Ainsworth that they are free to keep Ray under their wings. However, this must not affect them in their line of duty. From then on, Ainsworth became Ray's master, and she taught him everything he knew. 6 years after that, Ray has been incorporated into the army, and he is going to war with the soldiers. Shortly afterward, reports came in that the battle will be more fierce and dangerous because the other kingdom now has some powerful sorcerers. The army chief says Ray is free to live his life free from the war, but he insists that he wants to be around and keep his friends safe. Shortly afterward, the Far East War happened. Ray sees most of his friends dying on the battlefield and he activates his power. This makes him overheat and he turns the whole battlefield into a wasteland. He eliminated all the enemy troops, but some of his friends also died. Now in the present time, Ray wakes up in the hospital. Abby and Ainsworth have come to see him. Ainsworth soon leaves after she is confirmed that Ray is fine. After her departure, Abby reveals to Ray that Ainsworth was the one that begged her to let Ray attend the academy after the war. She wants Ray to live a normal and happy life. Abby leaves the room after telling him this, and his friends enter afterward. Ray apologizes for not telling his friends earlier. He reveals that he is one of the Grand Sorcerers. He says he is now using the Chronos Lock spell to prevent himself from heating up as he did in battle. His friends assure him that they will always support and care for him because he is a good person. That night, Ray receives a visit from Alium. He apologizes for everything he has done, and Ray accepts his apology. Ray tells him that he will be greater than he is, but he shouldn't let his family's legacy misguide him. Alium thanks Ray for his advice. A new teacher arrives to take over Helena's class. It turns out that the new teacher is Carol Caroline. Amelia sits in the bathtub and thinks about the high expectations around her. She also thinks about how strong Ray is, having had to overcome a cruel past. Now in the class, Carol explains to the student how the Magic Chevalier works. The New Year students are to participate in the rookie bracket, whereby the older students perform in the more advanced stage. She says there will be 16 contestants, 5 from each school, but their school gets to pick 6 candidates because Rebecca won the tournament last year. After her explanation, she winks at Ray and he immediately gets uncomfortable. After class, Ray barges into Abby's office. He requests that Carol be fired from the school, but Abby says she requested for Carol because she is free. And when it comes to protecting the academy, she will be very useful. Ray argues that he can protect the school. Ray says Carol is overbearing, and he hasn't been comfortable with her since his childhood days. Just then, Carol enters and starts chasing Ray around the room. Ray and Claris are seen at the training ground. Ray judges the fighter's strength just by looking at their fight patterns. Claris is amazed by this. Amelia wins her duel easily, but Ray suspects that she is not focused. Meanwhile, Amelia's father has told her to win at all costs. He says Amelia must make the family proud. Soon afterward, it is learned that Ariane Algren has been selected by Diome Academy to represent them in the rookie bracket. Rabe is informed that Ariane is strong and efficient. Later on, Amelia is picked to represent in the rookie bracket. Alium also makes it through the qualifiers, and he will be Amelia's partner. That night, Ray brings out the training book Ainsworth gave him and goes through it. The following morning, he approaches Amelia and offers to train her in preparation for the upcoming tournament. Amelia tells a story about how she met Ariane at a noble's party. The duo gets along immediately, and they grow up to be best friends. However, Ariane always beats Amelia in everything they do. This makes Amelia change, and she abandons her friendship with Amelia. Up next, Ray shows up to Amelia's training wearing a mask. He introduces himself as Master White and says he will be Amelia's instructor. He instructs Amelia to have a 20-kilometer run without using her magic abilities. Amelia does this and almost faints. She gets more scared when she hears that tomorrow's training will be more tedious. When Amelia's friends find her sleeping in class, Claris tells them that she is exhausted from Ray's training plans. Amelia is dreaming when Ray shows up at her dormitory window. He tells her to get ready for training and meet him downstairs. Ray runs into Rebecca and Dina. Dina scolds Ray for entering the girls' dormitory, and he quickly apologizes for his error. He spots Amelia trying to escape and goes after her. While looking for Amelia, Ray finds Alium, who he's having a self-reflection. He talks with Ray about how he has been training but still feels weak. Ray encourages him and says he is already stronger than he was before. After this, Ray sees Elisa and Claris. He asks about Amelia's whereabouts, but they don't know either. Ray uses his search ability to find where Amelia is. He discovers that Amelia is hiding under a desk, and he goes to drag her to the training ground. Up next, Ray asks the Environmental Research Club to be the cheering squad for Amelia because this will give her more motivation during the tournament. The club leader agrees, and when Ray is about to leave, he hands over a bag to him. The leader says how Ray wants to use the package doesn't concern him, but he should remain on the path of conviction. The next morning, a girl wearing Diame's school uniform walks by Amelia and her friends. She also walks by Rebecca and Dina. After seeing that the disguise has no flaw, Ray reveals his plan to sneak into Diame Academy. He enters the academy in a box and sees a young girl crying. Ray takes care of the young and comforts her. The girl says she is looking for her sister. Everyone around is stunned by how beautiful Ray is. The girl tells Ray that her name is Tiana Algren, and her sister is Ariane Algren. Ray helps Tiana to find Ariane, and Ariane thanks her. Ray introduces herself to Ariane as Lily, but Ariane is clever enough to see through him. She tells Ray to stop pretending. Ray uses his normal voice, and Ariane is surprised that she's talking to a boy. Upon hearing his real name, Ariane discovers that Ray is the said ordinary pupil attending Arnold Academy. She says they have a lot about him. To show her appreciation, Ariane invites Ray to a mock match and he accepts. During the fight, Ray is able to measure Ariane's strength and he realizes that she is very strong. After the fight, Ray lets Ariane know that he is there for Amelia. He tells Ariane that Amelia will defeat her in the competition, and Ariane says she will be waiting. On his way to the academy, Ray meets Rebecca's sister, Maria. Maria vows to attend Arnold Academy because of Ray. Ray returns to Arnold Academy and his friends are surprised to see him in a girl's body. Ray tells them that he just came back from a mission. The next day, Ray and his friends visit Lydia Ainsworth. The group is excited to meet Ray's master, especially Elisa because Ainsworth is her favorite author. Upon getting there, the group introduces themselves and Elisa gets Ainsworth's autograph. She also encourages Clarice not to give up on her dream to become a hunter. Ainsworth requests to have a discussion with Amelia in private. Carla also asks Ray to see her in the kitchen. Carla informs Ray that the other kingdom known as Awell Empire has started to infiltrate the kingdom with her Grim Reapers. Carla tells Ray to be extra vigilant on the competition's day because all the nobles will be attending. In her room, Ainsworth beseeches Amelia. She tells him to trust Ray and train with him. She should let go of anything that she is hiding in her heart and let Ray teach her everything he knows. After their discussion, the group goes swimming. Up next, Amelia starts to cooperate with Ray in training and does everything he asks her to. For the final training exercise, Ray asks Amelia to shatter the flower on his shirt during combat and Amelia passes the test. The day of the competition arrives and Abby welcomes everyone to the venue. She hopes the tournament acts as a stepping stone for the students and hereby declares the tournament open. Ariane finds Amelia in the passageway and the duo have a short discussion. Ariane says she will be waiting for Amelia in the final round and they shake hands. For the first round of the rookies semifinals, Amelia faces off with Shine Gerard of the Mercross Academy of Sorcery. Whoever shatters the rose on the opponent's chest wins, or they manage to push the opponent off the stage. The referee can also stop the fight if she deems it so. The fight begins and Amelia defeats her opponent in under 10 seconds. For the second round, Ariane is to face off with Alium. Alium puts in his best, but Ariane defeats him with a fatal blow. Amelia's friends are concerned for her because Ariane looks very powerful and dangerous. Meanwhile, an unknown person is seen stalking Ray. In preparation for the final round, Carol sings a song for the crowd. Ray is walking through the passageway when a Grimm comes behind him, but the Reaper is taken care of by the Environmental Research Club leader. Ray and the leader then go to a room to meet with Abby, Ainsworth, and other ranking officials. Ainsworth tells Ray about the Hale family. They are in charge of providing intelligence for the kingdom. Carla comes from the Hale family, and so is the leader of his club. The leader's name is Lex Hale, and he is Carla's younger brother. Ray is informed that Grim Reapers have infiltrated the venue, and he should be ready for anything. Ainsworth says Ray is free to use his Iceblade powers if it is needed. For the main bracket of the tournament, Rebecca advances to the final. A student of Mercross Academy called Lucas Forst also makes it to the final after defeating his opponent in just 2 seconds. Ray observes Lucas and sees that he is powerful. Clarice and Elisa come to inform Ray that Amelia won't leave her room because she is scared. Later on, Ariane is seen training hard while her father and sister encourage her. Shortly afterward, Ray decides to visit Amelia and speak with her. He says sweet words to Amelia, and this makes her open the door for him. He enters, and Amelia laments that she has always lived her life to people's expectations. She has never had her own purpose or reason for living. She is scared that she will lose to Ariane. Ray comforts her that she should try and create a reason to live. Ray tells her to please keep living because of him, because he wants to be around her always. Amelia hears this and calms down. All the tension immediately disappears and she lies down to sleep while Ray sits beside her. Ray knows Amelia is strong and all she needs to do is believe in herself. The next day, Ray tells her friends that he spent the night with Amelia and she is now okay. Ray asks about Clarice's whereabouts, and he is informed that she is busy with some organizational staff work. Ray then leaves to give Amelia her battle rose. Meanwhile, Clarice has been attacked by the Grim Reapers. Ray gives Amelia the rose and also assures her that she will be fine. Amelia hugs Ray before stepping out for her fight. After Amelia's departure, Lex comes over to inform Ray that Clarice and 8 other noble daughters have been kidnapped by the Grim Reapers. Ray heads over to the basement because he has a weird feeling about it. Back to the stage, the battle begins, and Ariane goes after Amelia hard. She launches a devastating attack, but Amelia is able to contain her and retaliate with a counterattack. Ray gets to the basement and sees Clarice and the other students knocked out. Ray tries to carry Clarice out of the basement, but they are attacked by the Reapers. Ray unleashes his power and defeats them using his anti-material code. Lex and the rest of the security arrive to take care of things while Ray goes to spectate the battle happening outside. He gets there to discover that Ariane is getting the upper hand and has almost defeated Amelia with her ultimate spell. Ray immediately calls out to Amelia, and this gives her a newfound strength. Amelia stands up and activates a spell that is so powerful that even Ariane is scared. Amelia activates her original spell, and Ariane is no longer able to touch her. Carol explains that the spell is a concept interference signal, and it takes few people the ability to use it. The spell makes use of the Chaos Theory's butterfly effect. This is the reason all of Ariane's attacks can't touch Amelia. However, the spell starts taking a heavy toll on Amelia's engram. She starts bleeding from the nose, and this gives Ariane little advantage. The duo continues to trade blows till they look exhausted. They go at each other one more time, and Amelia manages to shatter Ariane's rose. Seeing that she has been defeated, Ariane tells Amelia that she has become stronger. Amelia tells her that she got stronger due to the help of her friends and also because of Ariane. She has always looked up to Ariane, and this is the reason she kept working hard. The duo apologizes for abandoning each other and vows to resume their friendship. With this, Amelia is crowned the champion of the rookie bracket. Amelia's father is proud of her and shows his delight by clapping for his daughter. After the fight, Amelia's father meets up with Ariane's father, and the two friends talk about their daughter's rivalry. Ray goes to visit Amelia in the hospital while she is still recovering from her wounds. Amelia thanks him for his help and how he motivated her. Amelia asks if Ray knows what her power is, but Ray says he doesn't know in detail. Amelia says she is happy to now be a free person, no longer bound by other people's opinions. Up next, the main bracket finals arrive. Rebecca gets to the stage and prepares for her fight against Lucas. Maria Bradley is also standing in the distance and observing the fight. The battle begins, and Lucas activates a powerful spell which he uses to defeat Rebecca in under 10 seconds of the fight. Rebecca is left stunned, and so is everybody watching the fight. Lucas walks by Ray, and Ray realizes that the Peerless Blade Sorcerer title has been passed down to Lucas. Ray says Lucas shouldn't have been competing in the tournament because he is much stronger than the participants, and the tournament is also meant for students. Lucas tells Ray that he would like to fight him, and he should make sure to participate in next year's tournament. He also tells Ray to work on his power in order to control overheating. Lucas aims to show Ray that the Peerless Blade Sorcerer is the most powerful, contrary to the belief that the Iceblade Sorcerer is the most powerful. Soon afterward, Abby, Carol, and Ainsworth go to the cell to have a chat with the Grim Reapers that were captured. Carol uses her spellbinding magic to put them in a more obedient state. She asks the Reapers to reveal their plans and who they work for. However, the Reapers activate a failsafe button, and they all burst into flames. Later on, the students and participants are thanked for attending the year's Magic Chevalier. Abby says she looks forward to next year's tournament and declares the tournament closed. Back in school, Ray informs his classmates that they will all be dressing as a maid for the cultural festivals. The students are not in support of this because they are nobles and cannot be acting like a maid. However, Ray and Amelia find a way to convince them and also bring Carol on board. Still celebrating their success, Dina appears and informs Ray that Rebecca has been engaged to Evan Bernstein. We see Rebecca's father, Bruno, completing the engagement contract with Evan Bernstein. Later on, a monster-like man called the Glutton, but also known as Para, is seen consuming a sorcerer's engram. One of Eugenics officials shows up to hire Para for their activities. He reveals that they need Rebecca Bradley to complete their mission. The official plans to take revenge on the Bradleys. Up next, Ray approaches Rebecca to congratulate her on her engagement, but she looks sad and carried away. However, she tries so hard to conceal her unhappiness. Amelia later shows Elisa the drawing of how she wants their maid outfit to look in preparation for the cultural festivals. Elisa says she can design, but is shy to wear the outfit. Ray manages to convince her that she will lose stunning in the outfit, and Elisa agrees to wear it. The class also does their part, and make sure to decorate the room they intend to use for their maid cafe. Ray is amazed by their togetherness and hopes that everything turns out well. Ray goes to the student council to ask for permission for the maid cafe. Dina says they will have to go through the paperwork. Ray discovers that only Dina and Rebecca are present in the student council room. He asks why, and Rebecca explains that one of the council members is previously engaged to Evan. Rebecca laments that they believe she stole one of their members' fiancés for herself and have decided to boycott all meetings. Ray offers to help on the matter, and Rebecca accepts his help. On his way out, Dina stops him and begs Ray to look after Rebecca. She says there is something odd about her engagement to Evan. Ray then decides to visit Ainsworth and ask for her help concerning Rebecca's engagement. Ainsworth tells Carla to investigate the matter, and she says she will have a report in a week's time. It is revealed that Rebecca is having dreams about Ray, and she is also bleeding from her eyes. Maria tries to talk to her, but she shuts her off. Maria remembers how nice her sister is. Surprisingly, Maria is born without any talent, but Rebecca has always been there for her. Up next, Ray's class finishes up with the decoration and design of their outfit. They make a show presentation and everybody loves them. However, Claris's class is going with a haunted theme for the festival. Claris got dressed up as a ghost, and Ray says she looks like a cute ghost. That night, Ray offers to walk Rebecca home because she is now staying over at Evan's house. She will also move out of the dormitory after the cultural festivals. Evan meets the duo halfway and takes Rebecca off Ray's hand. He thanks him for walking her home and leaves with his fiancée. Ray is then summoned by Ainsworth and Abby. They inform him that something unusual is going on with Evan. He doesn't have any maids or friends living in his mansion, and he is probably involved with eugenics. They tell Ray that Evan probably wants Rebecca because of her sorcerer's eyes. Evan tries to touch Rebecca's eyes, but she stops him. Evan then tells Rebecca that her father made a contract with him so he can become the best house of the 3 high noble houses. Evan also threatens Rebecca by saying Maria will be harmed if she doesn't cooperate. Shortly afterward, Rebecca sees Ray in her dream again. Maria comes over to the school to ask Ray for help concerning Rebecca. Ray holds Maria's hands and promises to protect Rebecca. He also commends Maria for having a good and pure heart. Unknown to the duo, Rebecca is looking at them from a corner. She starts to wonder what Maria and Ray could have been discussing. She is also surprised that Ray could be holding Maria's hands. Later on, Ray sits down to read a book. The book is about a demon girl who is always staying away from humans. One day she meets a young man and she starts to understand how the human heart works. The duo gets closer with time, but the young man starts having worries. Because of the girl's power, he decides to avoid her and disappears. The demon girl kept waiting for him to come back, but he never did. While in her dreams, Rebecca sees Ray during the Far East War. Ray also feels the effects of Rebecca's dream, but he wasn't sure what it is. The next morning, Rebecca tries to talk to Ray about her dream, but doesn't go ahead with it. The cultural festival begins, and Ariane and her sister are in attendance. Ray then shows up to the event in his woman's disguise. He introduces himself as Lily, and all the attendees and students are blown away by Lily's beauty. Maria also shows up, and Lily serves a great delicacy. Maria is happy to see Lily again, but she doesn't know that Lily and Ray are the same person. Ray goes back to his normal appearance and goes out with Rebecca for the festivals. They visit a lot of places together, and Rebecca has lots of fun. Rebecca thanked Ray for making her day beautiful. On the other hand, Maria is confronted by a strange woman that has the same hair color as her. She tells Maria that Rebecca will die, and this throws Maria into panic mode. Ray also gets the information from his master and the rest of the sorcerers. They tell him to calm down and that Rebecca will not die as long as something is done about it. Turns out that Rebecca's father has come to inform the sorcerers about the deal he made. Meanwhile, Rebecca is having issues controlling her power, and this makes her bleeding worse than before. The next morning, Rebecca meets with Ray. She begs Ray to look after her sister because she will soon move to Evan's house. Later that day, Ray entertains everyone that attends the maid's cafe. On the other hand, Rebecca has been kidnapped by Evan. Ray senses this and immediately runs out of the school. His friends ask him where he is going, but refuses to answer. Evan creates a barrier on a hilltop and keeps Rebecca inside the barrier. He plans to awaken the spirit of Croix that is dormant in Rebecca. Maria is born without any power or talent because Rebecca is the Croix. This is Evan's way of asserting revenge on the Bradleys for the crimes they have committed in the past. Ray gets to the mouth of the hill, but is confronted by a large force of monsters and Para. He is still thinking of a way to get past them when his friends show up. They help him defeat the monsters, but Para escapes to the hilltop. The eugenics official is left, and Ray's friends tell him to go and save Rebecca while they fight the eugenics member. It is revealed that Rebecca will die if Evan manages to awaken the Croix in her, and she isn't stopped. Ray starts climbing to the hilltop in a bid to rescue his friend. Meanwhile, Maria has joined Evan and Rebecca on the hilltop. The eugenics official teleports into the barrier where Evan is holding Rebecca. It turns out that the eugenics official is actually Evan Bernstein, while the fake Evan Bernstein is a grand sorcerer called Lisa. Lise is the white-haired lady that warned Maria. Lise had kidnapped Maria to prevent Evan and eugenics from laying their hands on her. Lise is the sorcerer of fabrication. Evan tries to lay his hands on Rebecca, but Lisa moves her to a far distance on the hill. She then sends Evan into another dimension. Just then, Ray arrives at the scene. Para is excited to see him because he plans to consume the engram of the Iceblade Sorcerer. He rushes at Ray, but Lise creates a wall to stop him. Lise then tells Ray her plans. She wants Rebecca to overheat. Ray will then use his Chronos lock to help her conceal her powers. She says Ray and Rebecca are already resonating with each other, so it shouldn't be a problem. Para manages to break the barrier and Ray is forced to fight him. Lisa then goes to the other dimension where she locked Evan. Evan uses his eugenics research to stimulate his engrams and tries to attack Lisa, but she locks Evan with her self-destruct power and finishes him off without raising a finger. Evan asks if Lisa is the strongest amongst the Grand Sorcerers. Lisa says she is not the strongest, and she doesn't even come close to Ray. The Iceblade Sorcerer is the strongest, and he can rule the world if he wants to. At the bottom of the hill, Ray's friends just finished battling with an army of monsters. They are about to take a break when another group shows up. They prepare to engage the monsters, but Ainsworth and her friends arrive at the scene and tell them to stand down. Carla cuts down the monsters with her lightning magic. Abby's uses her fire magic to eliminate the monsters. Carol uses her spellbinding magic to terminate the enemies and also has fun while doing so. Ainsworth finishes off the monsters by creating a giant ice blade that nearly destroys the entire area. On the top of the hill, Ray is still having a hard time with Para. Para activates his full power and holds Ray against the wall. He is about to start consuming Ray's engram when Ray uses a freezing spell to hold Para. He freezes Para his feet to his head and leaves him in a red-colored block of ice. Before conceding defeat, Para concurs that Ray is powerful. After defeating Para, Ray activates his Chronos Lock and falls to the ground. It is revealed that Evan is the man that fell in love with the monster girl, but he lost his way afterwards. Rebecca stands up to check on Ray, but Maria stops her. Maria scolds her for being the cause of everything. She says Rebecca should have opened her mouth and talked before everything developed into chaos. Rebecca gets angry and says all she has done is to protect Maria. Maria answered by saying she never asked her to. The duo exchanges more harsh words and this soon hurts Maria. Rebecca falls to her knees and starts crying. Just then, she starts to overheat because of the emotional stress. Lisa arrives and tells Ray to help her. Ray moves closer to Rebecca and comforts her. He tells Rebecca that everything will be okay and manages to use the Chronos Lock to stop Rebecca from overheating. After the dust has settled, Rebecca plans a night out with Ray. Amelia tells Rebecca that she will never allow Ray to fall for her. The duo promises not to lose to each other. While still talking about who is going to win Ray's heart, Clarice and Elisa also show up to inform the duo that they also want Ray. Ray arrives at the scene, and the girls couldn't help but blush. Up next, Ray pays a visit to his fallen comrade's grave, and he tells them how he has been coping in school. He never believed he could have a real life after ending so much life in the Far East War. He mentions that Ainsworth was a big help to who he is now. Ray adds that he is enjoying life with his friends and will make the best of it. At this point, we have reached the end of our video. If you like it, do not forget to put the like button and subscribe for more new videos.